Hello, Hot Take Nation. It's good to see you all. It's been a while. I know. I'm sorry. This man's well known for consistency, but we're back. We're back with a legitimate podcast here today. It's just gonna be me today. Just want to keep it simple. Just trying to ease my way back into it. Make sure I know how I'm doing this. A lot like this. You could tell that by my talk. I didn't really write a lot of this down for tonight because so much happened over the last few days. I think it would be criminal to not talk about some of the stuff that happened. I'll keep short. I'll just talk about two things that happened. As of right now, the MLB currently has two players still on administrative leave, being Starlin Castro, who's been put on, I think, a 7-day administrative leave over domestic violence, and Bauer still currently on administrative leave. There's no clue when that will happen, but it's looking pretty bad considering Dodgers players have unfollowed him. There's clips going around of them just probably moving on from Bauer. Like Max Muncy basically talked about it or kind of hinted at it at the All-Star game. Don't expect to see Trevor Bauer back in your lineup, and if you picked him for fantasy, oof. It's gonna be a long year for you. It's gonna be a long second half of the year for you. But I think it's time, or the first big story is gonna come to light right now, or we're gonna talk about the first big story that happened, and this is a breaking one. I'll keep updating as it goes along, but to sum it up, outside of Nats Park tonight, a game was suspended. It was 8-4 Padres, and I was looking at my phone, kind of confused what happened, and I get a text from Zach. He says, "Guess what happened? The game got suspended." I said, "What?" I said, "It has been raining here." Because I was watching the Phillies game, it was pouring down rain. I was watching the Yankees game, it was pouring down rain. So I thought, oh, was it a rain delay? Did they just cancel for rain? No. Outside of Nats Park, by the third base exit, there was a shooter, and 4 people got shot and injured right outside of Nats Stadium, and thousands were running for the dugout. It was a scary event, and honestly, if you want to find it, there is probably by tonight or tomorrow, you'll see dozens and dozens of clips about it. It was a really scary thing. They talked about it on the news. The shooter, from what it sounds like, still at large. And from what it sounds like, 4 people have been injured. No one's been killed, luckily. I didn't want to talk about this at first, but sometimes real life events clash with the game of baseball. And something like this is about as real as it gets. And I'm gonna spout a personal opinion here. If you don't like it, too bad. This is how I feel. I mean, sports places, sports complexes, or sports stadiums is what I meant, should be one of the safest places for people to go ever. There should be police all around the stadium. Normally, it's well secured. And the fact that a shooting happened basically right outside the stadium, and people got injured, and no one even knows who the shooter is disgusting by DC. Muriel Bowser and the police chief of DC can say all they want. It's not going to change the fact that people got injured. And the fact is, this happened a day after a shooting killed a 6-year-old girl. If you can't feel safe going to a baseball game, those are literally like some of the most secure places in DC outside of fucking government buildings. Where are you going to feel safe in a city? If you can't feel safe going to a sports game with thousands upon thousands of people without feeling like someone's going to shoot you, how do you warrant that your city's safe? You will hear this till the day I die. If you know me, if you are friends with me ever, if you cross paths with me, I will say this till the day I die. I will believe politicians are the biggest pieces of garbage. They don't care about people's safety. And I bet money that Muriel Bowser is going to go out there and say, this is unacceptable and we will have answers and stuff like that. But in reality, they don't care. They don't care about you or me. It's just how it is. They don't care about regular people. They're corrupt, greedy, self-licking lollipops who don't care about anyone but their own position, their money, and their power. But I'm gonna move on from this. I will keep updating with the information as it goes. You'll find it in my Facebook group, and I hope you all continue to come in and join. We'll have conversations. I'll put some polls out, update with news, especially with the trade deadline going on. More on that to come in a minute. And I'll keep updating the situation about the Nats shooting, and hopefully some answers will come to light. And they'll bring the guy who was brazen enough to go to a place where thousands upon thousands of people gathered to watch an exciting sport. It was the Nats versus the Padres. That's an exciting game. And puts people's lives in jeopardy is disgusting. It's a horrendous act. But I'm going to move on from it because I got a bunch of other stuff. And I want to keep this positive despite the fact that we started off on a pretty negative note. Moving past it, we have got some trade updates. Some of the bigger ones. I mean, yeah, Blue Jays traded for pitching. They traded Rowdy Tellez to the Brewers for Trevor Richards, I think, and maybe one other guy. I don't remember. I think it was for Trevor Richards. But no, the biggest ones came. The Braves have decided to go all in. This is after, mind you. I'll quickly talk about this story now. Ronald Acuna has torn his ACL. He is done for the year. This happened right before the All-Star break. That is devastating for the Braves. So they respond. I don't want to say about desperation, but they're going pretty aggressive this year to try and do something about it. They picked up Stephen Vogt today from the Diamondbacks. I'm going for a back. I'm guessing they're going to use him as a backup catcher because Travis d'Arnaud is also out long-term with a finger injury from what I saw. And they picked up Jock Peterson from the Cubs. This is looking like the first sign the Cubs are going to blow it up and sell at the deadline if they're willing to trade Jock Peterson, someone who they just brought in this year. But moves like this, I mean, Stephen Vogt, yeah, it's okay. It's just a backup catcher more so. Maybe try to find lightning in a bottle. But Jock Peterson signifying you aren't willing to give up yet. The Braves aren't willing to give up. And you know what? They have reasons to not give up yet. They're only 4 games back. I think they're tied with the Phillies, or they're damn near it. And the prospects they gave up 2 first basemen for Vogt and Peterson. I don't really think those are going to be too much of an issue right now. If there are issues in the future, well, obviously I'll cover it, but these look like solid moves, especially since Jock Peterson, I think, got 2 hits. Maybe a home run. I don't remember if he did or not. But Jock Peterson is now an Atlanta Brave. And considering what he does is mash a lot of fastballs from righties. And a lot of this division is hard-throwing righties. You might see his ERA. You might see his batting average and number of home runs go up more. But this also signifies the Braves are not willing to give up, not even close. They have stuff ready, and they are willing to give it everything they've got. And I think I want to wrap this up. I wanted to talk about potentially the 3 biggest buyers going into the trade deadline. Because there's definitely going to be teams that sell. But I'm curious to talk about the 3 teams who are probably going to go all in. They're going to get like 4 or 5 players. They're going to go on a big shopping spree during the deadline. And they're probably not going to be the teams you think. All right, so let's get started. With number 3, I'm going to say this one's tough. Because in terms of National League, there's not many teams I consider heavy buyers. But I'm going to say the Cincinnati Reds. they're still, I think, in striking distance with the Brewers. They have a lot of talent on that team. Nick Castellanos and Jesse Winker are amazing. Jonathan India came out of nowhere and became a stud overnight. Yeah, Eugenio Suarez is bad, but there's still a lot of talent on that team. And Luis Castillo's continuing to get better. They'll get Sonny Gray back soon. Tyler Mahle has been great. Wade Miley has been great. They have the team to do it. But I expect to see a heavy dose of picking up pitchers, especially relief pitchers. Their bullpen is not that good. The bullpen's still really bad on the Reds. I think their closer right now is Heath Hembry. I think that should sum it up. They're going to definitely go after a closer. Maybe they go get Rafael Iglesias back. They're going to go and pick up like 3 relievers, I believe. At least 3. One of them being a closer. Maybe a starter. And then they're definitely going to go after some offense. Mainly, I'm expecting a third baseman. I could see them trying to get Bryant or get Story and try and play him third. Or get Baez and try to play him a third. They're going to get someone who's high up on the order of players to get. Or they go after Adam Frazier. They're going to want to go after some high-end talent. The Reds are within striking distance. They know they are. And if they make the right moves at the deadline, I could see them very much surging. The Brewers don't have the staying power. I don't believe they do. With the bad offense that they have. The pitching's going to wear down on some point. Maybe not Brandon Woodruff, but the other one's very much a possibility. So that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say the Reds are the third biggest buyer at the deadline. Who's the second biggest buyer? This is where it gets interesting. I'm going to say the Angels. Realistically, offensively, they're not going to want a lot. They're probably going to want some better depth bats. Their depth bats have been pretty bad this year. But you're going to get Justin Upton back at some point. Taylor Ward, I think, has been starting to step up as the year goes on. Juan Lagares is as fine as a depth bat once you get Mike Trout back. You have the talent. And Kurt Suzuki's also there. You have depth bats. Depth bats. I'm having trouble talking right now. But where they're hurting is the pitching. Shohei's been great. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Shohei's been great. Save for that bad start against the Yankees. He's been great. And they might have found something with Jose Suarez and Patrick Sandoval as their young players for the future. But they've just made free agency mistake after free agency mistake after free agency mistake. If it wasn't Josh Hamilton in the past or Albert Pujols, they've wasted money on guys like Dylan Bundy, Julio Teheran, Jose Quintana, Andrew Heaney, and Griffin Canning. All of which have been mistakes. And Alex Cobb. Maybe not Alex Cobb as much, but the other 5 I've listed, colossal mistakes the Angels have made. They've all been bad. They've all been dead. They've been worse than bad. They've been dead weight on this team. And it's dragging the Angels down. And the bullpen hasn't been great either. So I expect the Angels to go pitcher heavy at the deadline. I'm talking potentially John Gray and Kyle Gibson. I think they might give both. I think they're going to shop Joe Adell potentially for one of those players. They're going to definitely go after some bullpen because realistically, after Rafael Iglesias and Steve Cishek, there's not a whole lot there that's helping the Angels. And it's been killing them this year. They aren't going to give up, and I don't see them selling. Why? If you're having the year Mike Trout is having, Mike Trout is Mike Trout. You have a generational talent who has made the playoffs once, and you are having the greatest season from a baseball player, and you don't go all in, that's criminal. That's beyond criminal. The owner should sell the team. Beyond belief. This team is a playoff team if they actually get some legitimate pitching. They have legitimate hitting all throughout the lineup. David Fletcher, Anthony Rendon, who has been in a slump, but I think he's starting to get better. Jared Walsh, Max Stasey, Mike Trout, obviously. This team should be better than what the record says. And if they buy the right piece at the deadline, they're going to be better. But you expect the Angels to be one of the most aggressive teams at the deadline. Not the most, however. Number 1, I don't think this should come as a shock to anybody. And the only reason I'm talking about teams that are not as much in a playoff contention is because the teams who are very much in a playoff spot, they're going to stand pat, maybe get some minor pieces, get some smaller but good pieces, but not go all in because they have a lot of pieces either in the farm system or in their legitimate roster where they can find the holes they need to fix, which are mostly minor if they're in that position. Number one, however, there is a lot of issues. And you know which team I'm going to talk about. It's the New York Yankees. I talked about it with my dad, and I said, what do you think they need? He said, besides hitting, starting pitching, and bullpen, they're good. They're all good. If you don't get that, that's sarcasm saying they need literally everything. The starting pitching is injured or falling apart. They aren't getting consistency from a lot of guys. Montgomery's been okay, but he's your 2. If you're getting okay at your 2, that's alarming. Herman has been really bad over the last stretch. Tyone has been just awful. You have no clue when Corey Kluber's been back. Michael King hasn't been great as a starter. Their best starter after Garrett Cole has been Nestor Cortez. That's just some of how bad the starting pitching's been. The offense, do I even need to talk about how legitimately bad the offense has been? Granted, I don't know if they're going to call it, but they're winning 3-1 right now. But this is a team that's designed to hit home runs. And they're not doing that. In return, they're striking out a whole lot. They're not getting a lot of guys who put the ball in play. And the guys who normally put the ball in play for them are struggling. Odor's struggling. LeMahieu, even though he's batting 270, he just doesn't seem all there as offensively as the last 2 years with the Yankees, where he's been a legitimate stud. Gardner's been bad. LeCastro's been bad. They just don't have the legitimate talent to make up for all the strikeouts they're getting from Sanchez and Judge and Stanton, especially Stanton. So I could see them going and giving up a lot of prospects. And I really mean it when I say I mean they're going to give up a lot of prospects. You could see them getting 2 players for at least each position, maybe even more in the relief. I didn't think the relief was as bad as what my dad was making it out to be. And then I watched Justin Wilson serve up a meatball to JD Martinez. That also compacts with right before the All-Star break, they implode and give up 6 runs to the Astros when they're winning 7-2 in the 9th. And they only got 1 out. That was brutal. That was brutal to watch. The Yankees need a lot of answers, and I don't know if you find them in the room. I'm a firm believer, and the Yankees are a big market team. Money will never be an issue for them, like smaller market teams, like the A's and the Rays. They can only trade after certain players. They can't go after bigger players because of the money. More like the cheapness of managers. But a team like the Yankees, money will never be an issue to them. Anyone who's at the market is available, they will try and go for. So I'm a firm believer. Expect the Yankees roster to potentially look very, very, very different before the year is over. And that is where I'm going to wrap it up. It's a short video. I know it's a short podcast. I'm sorry. I'm going to try and ease my way back into this. Get some more notes. Get myself ready. The football season's coming up. And, hockey will come back. And I will start trying to talk about hockey a little bit. I don't care about basketball enough. Football's just been too much of a shit show right now. Especially with all the stuff Aaron Rodgers is doing. And if you think I'm going to even talk about that, no. I don't care enough. Aaron Rodgers is a child. With the way he's acting. Dude won an MVP and now wants to throw a bitch fit. It's all I'm going to say. It's sad and embarrassing. You're a grown man. You're an MVP winner. Act like it. As much as Russell Wilson whined about it, He's still with the Seahawks. I think it's a lot of players being greedy in the NFL. But that's just an opinion, and that's just a hot take at the end of the day. You all take that for what you want. With that out of the way, I'm gonna get out of here. Thank y'all for watching the return of Friends Hot Take Sports. Expect to see more of me. I'm really excited for the rest of the year that's gonna be here for baseball, and especially playoff baseball and football. However, you might be seeing, you're gonna be seeing me in a new setting in a month as I go off to college. Thank y'all for watching. I've been Nick Fernbaugh from Fern's Hot Take Sports, and I'm out. From the Hot Take Nation, I'm out. Peace.